Welcome, everyone. It's Mike from Downtown Comics, and we're here for another week of Let's Talk Comics. James, how we doing?
I'm doing great, Mike. How about
you? Good. All right, we're going to get right to it. First off, though, downtowncomics.com is the place to go to check out all the comics and covers that we are talking about today and everything else we sell. And liking, sharing, and subscribing would be awesome. We want more people to see these. This is our third episode now.
Mm-hmm.
So, all right, let's get started. James, what do you have for us?
Yeah, so first off is Challengers of the Unknown.
Okay.
All right. Let's see, it was written by Christopher Cantwell. This issue was fantastic, actually. Did you get a chance to read it?
No, not yet. It's on my list.
Yeah.
I did see them in the Just League Unlimited.
Yes,
so they were,
yeah.
I guess, introduced because they were in the background in that book. So I did see them, So and I know they're kind of DC's version of the Fantastic Four.
They basically are. Yeah.
Okay.
It's kind of like they're like the nerve center of like the Watchtower, basically.
Okay.
And, because after the quote unquote death of Darkseid,
yes.
That's been talked about a lot here recently. Where it's like, did he actually die? Because there's been like seismic events, throughout the universes and stuff like that after he quote unquote died. But yeah, no, this issue, each of the Challengers of the Unknown are kind of paired up with one of the Justice League members.
Okay. So
Ace, I can't remember his last name, but Ace Morgan, he's teamed up with Superman and they go to Mars.
Okay.
And they, without giving too much away, they kind of bring something back with them. And towards the end, that's kind of where we find out, like, because Mr. Terrific is kind of the one that's like heading all of this, at the Watchtower. So the Challengers of the Unknown and the Justice League, some of the Justice League members feel that Mr. Terrific is like holding something back, not telling them everything.
Okay.
For a really good reason. It's a really big spoiler at the end, so I'm not gonna I'm not gonna say anything as too much to that, but yeah, overall it was
a good first issue. If you've never even heard their name, is this still a book you could pick up and follow along with?
Honestly, I think so. I think like you said, not a lot of people know about Challengers of the Unknown, but I think after everybody reads this, I feel like this is going to be like, in my opinion, it's going to be like one of the biggest like all-in like comic series.
Okay. Yeah, I mean DC's taking some swings, aren't they? Yeah. I mean,
and everything is like interconnected. Like, it's very like very methodical and very like, they got it down to science.
Okay. All right. Awesome. All right, so for my first one, we're going to do Johnny Quest.
Okay.
All right, so again, your Challengers is old school kind of, and so is Johnny Quest. Old school, like even I'm old enough to know that I was watching Johnny Quest on reruns. Like, I wasn't old enough to see it live, but I watched it as a youth, and it was okay. The animation was one of those, there's a name for it, and I don't remember, but it's that kind of, it's a blank cell, and then there's movement in front of it. So it's a very weird style of animation that they kind of did back then. So, but it's really fun adventure stuff. So it wasn't one of the newer IPs that some companies have been buying up that I was excited for. Mm-hmm. Flash Gordon, Dick Tracy, Space Ghost, all these older IPs have been bought up by different companies now to make new stuff. And so Johnny Quest was one of them. It's by Dynamite. And I have to say, probably my favorite overall. The art is fantastic. The issue that was out this week is number 6, and it's the end of the first story arc.
Okay.
And it was fantastic. I mean, the art, like I said, the art was great. The story was exciting, involves time travel, and it's got all the classic, we've got our classic team of Johnny and the dad, and then Haji the friend, and Race, the heroic action guy, and then they have to travel in the future, and their main villain is there, and so there's time travel involved, and I'm not going to give away any spoilers, but just a really well done comic, and perfect for, if you're a fan of Johnny Quest, you'll definitely love this. If you've never read anything and you just want a good action sci-fi story, then highly recommend this. If you can't get all 6 issues, I'm sure the trade will be out soon, but I really liked everything about this book. So
awesome. Okay. Yeah, sweet. Yeah. And would you say that this is like could anyone like jump into issue 6, or would they have to kind of?
I mean, it obviously ends the storyline. I mean, it's not that you couldn't read it, but you'd be like, what's going on here? I mean, it is time travel, so there's a few things going on I don't want to spoil. Okay. So yeah, I would say if 6 wouldn't be the best first issue. You could take a look at the art though. If you thought that was good, then hopefully when they come back for the next arc starting at 7, you could start there because it'll be a brand new story. And then maybe wait for the trade, or just hopefully my stores still have all the issues available. Maybe pick them up, but yeah, no, you could read it, but it is the last part. So
okay, gotcha,
yeah,
sweet,
sir.
Awesome.
All right, what you got?
All right, so next up is the question all along the Watchtower.
Okay, yeah, I love number 1.
That was so good.
Yeah.
And did you say you read issue 2 or not?
I haven't read issue 2, but I love I read issue 1. I loved issue 1. So.
Yeah, and in my opinion, issue 2 is probably maybe even better than issue 1.
Okay.
But we kind of open up on I believe, if I remember correctly, it was a murder that took, or an attack that took place within Renee Montoya's her quarters.
Right.
So
on the Watchtower.
Yeah,
because she's again. Everything is centered around Justice League now, kind of. So she's the security chief of the Watchtower, basically, is her job, I guess.
Yeah, and it's funny because she even says in issue 2 where she's like, "Wait, why me? Because I don't have superpowers, and I'm just like this, this human that's on here with tons and tons of superheroes,
right?
With different powers." So it was kind of interesting to kind of see that humanity. And this is kind of like, I don't know, it's like a within this issue, without giving away who the attacker is within this issue,
or who the victim. Did we know who the victim was? I'm trying to remember. Do we know who was attacked, or who?
I don't recall actually.
Okay.
But it's kind of funny because the cover, the A cover, you can, if you look close enough, you can kind of see who the main villain of this issue is.
Okay.
And he goes to steal a Green Lantern ring, and it's kind of funny because like who they have protecting different sections of the Watchtower. Okay. And you got what was it called? The Bulleteer, protecting the armory. Okay. So and that's actually someone I've never heard of before.
He was part of the 7 Soldiers of Victory by Grant Morrison.
Oh, okay.
So I guess that at the time I couldn't tell you whether that was actually because Grant Morrison likes to write, and then he likes to say, it doesn't count. I don't know, maybe. So yeah, but he was I don't know if he was created for that, but that's where I remember him from, the 7 Soldiers of Victory. So yeah,
gotcha. Okay, yeah, sweet. Yeah, but yeah, so that's I can't really say a whole lot about this without giving too much away.
Okay. I mean, bottom line is, Question's cool character. She's got a great look. I dig the hat and the overcoat. And then, of course, the blank face of the Question makes it she's just a little creepy. Mm-hmm. And then she's got a shotgun now, right? She's got So, and you're not going to know, well, unless maybe you do. So, have you ever heard of a movie called Outlander?
Yes, I've heard of it.
The movie or the show? Like, there's a movie with Sean Connery.
Okay, the movie.
Yes, it's from the late 70s, early 80s. Mm-hmm. So you have heard of this?
I have heard of it, yeah.
Okay. Yeah. It's what it reminds me of, because I'm the basic premise of that movie is he's a sheriff on, like, some sort of space station or whatever, and he's got a shotgun. And so, like, that's kind of the imagery that goes through my head when I talk about this book, or when I think about this book. So yeah, fun stuff.
I think it's really funny because they were talking about how when this villain gets this Green Lantern ring, how they were talking about how he's like the worst Green Lantern, and they were like, well, have you ever met Guy Gardner? I was like, oh wow, okay, dang,
can't help take a shot at Guy Gardner. All right, awesome. Let's see, I'm gonna do Turtles next. All right, so Turtles number 5 came out this week. They relaunched the Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles. Same company, IDW. The first Turtle series they had went 150-some issues, right? So 14 years almost. They just relaunched it. Now, I have never, this may shock you, I've never read a Turtles comic before.
Really?
Yeah, wow. Well, I mean, I started at number 1 of this series. So, I mean, this is my 5th Turtles, but I didn't read the original Turtles. Mm-hmm. I didn't read the Turtles Adventures. I didn't read any of the IDW Turtles. I mean, I like the Turtles, but I've never been a fan of the Turtles. I just
Okay,
didn't grow
yeah.
up with the Turtles being my thing, and so it's just it kind of missed me at my age group of what I really enjoyed. But I tried this book out, and it's been really, really good. And the
Okay.
best part about it is we're on issue number 5. The first 5 issues are all standalones.
Okay.
Okay, so the
That's
first 4, each one was of a different turtle, because at the end, I guess, of the IDW series, they must have broken up. Something must have happened, and they all went their separate ways. So this is set sometime in the future after that, whatever happened.
Mhm.
And so each one is a singular story about the turtle and what their situation is, and then it's kind of getting the band back together concept as they start to get back into team mode or whatever. So this 5th one is about Casey Jones,
Okay.
who's the guy with the hockey stick,
Mm-hmm.
and he's just basically a vigilante type. I don't know. So again, this is setting up what New York City is now like, because all the other thing is all the turtles are now not in New York, so they've been scattered into different states or whatever. So it's set in the eyes of Casey Jones, sets up who's running New York, what's going on with the Foot Clan, your standard ninja villains, So there's a lot of sameness of, if you're a Turtles fan, you know what I'm talking about. Casey Jones, Ninja Foot Clan, all that stuff. So no surprises there, but the story being told, it's going back to its roots, I think. I think the Turtles under IDW's always been kind of serious, but it's going back to its roots, more of an old school Daredevil, like a Frank Miller-esque Daredevil, just like they were created as kind of an homage parody of that, Frank Miller Batman, Frank Miller Daredevil stuff when they were created. So obviously this writer is going back to that. So, kind of a hard edge crime thing. So yeah, it was good. Perfect. Again, number 5 is the same as 4, 3, 2, and 1. If you need to find any of those, just pick it up. You can read it and see if you like it. So, and I'm enjoying the book. So yeah.
Awesome.
Yeah.
All right. So next up for me is Absolute Batman number 3. Did you get a chance to read this?
No, not yet.
Okay, gotcha.
No,
Okay.
I had to stick with what I was going to talk about today.
Fair
There's
enough,
a bunch of books that are... the pile this week was literally that high. I mean, so much stuff is out. But no, you don't have to sell me on this one.
Yeah,
I've been loving it. So yeah, but...
Yeah, it's, it's interesting because, we kind of open up and the issue opens up and, with the Batmobile dump truck or whatever he has.
Whatever it is, yeah.
And it's interesting because, I've seen where people are like, oh my gosh, that's so slow, it's so big, and it's like, but you find out in this issue what happens that may not be the case anymore. So, but no, this issue is really interesting because obviously, this Batman is a lot younger, and the villain, Black Mask, I believe it was, he's essentially offering Batman money, hundreds of millions of dollars to basically step back the crime fighting. And so Alfred is basically like, hey, do this so that way, his Batman could, potentially take that money and become the Batman that we know today.
Right.
And so then, but, Batman's like, well, but then they would get away. But then Alfred's like, well, I can have my team, when they do those transactions, I can have them basically, see where that's coming from and, capture the Black Mask.
Right.
So that's kind of where this issue takes place.
Okay. And not to spoil anything, but I know at the end of number 2, I believe, we find out that, I guess we knew this, but that Martha Wayne is in fact alive.
Right.
That was a big... Is she in number 3? Is there more to that story, or are they...
Not too much,
Not
really.
too much?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay. Because I thought that was... It should have been obvious to me reading it the way his origin kind of went down, but I guess, you assume when you go into these new books that redo known superhero origins, you assume in your brain, and so until the book tells you differently, you're like, I just assumed both parents were dead, but then there was no reason to assume that because the event happened at a different place with only the dad involved. Why would the mom be dead? But there you go. But the book's great.
It is, and it's kind of interesting because, I see online sometimes where they're, people like, in my generation, they're like, oh my gosh, I'm so happy this Batman is, in his 20s and, he's kind of figuring things out. So yeah, I think I really like that rather than being, Batman that's been like 20 years in or something like that. So it's a little bit more relatable to like, bring in the younger readers, I guess.
Okay.
Basically.
Right.
So yeah.
Okay, cool.
Yeah.
All right, Fantastic Four. All right, let's talk meat and potatoes. It's on issue 27, which came out this week. This run, Ryan North is the writer. Mm. He's been around, but I guess I'm not really sure of his style yet. But his take on this book is very much, this is not a normal superhero book. He is very much going back to the concept of the Fantastic Four as a family. All the stories seem very family driven. So you've got a large cast of characters, including Ben Grimm is with Alicia Masters, and now they've got 2 adopted kids, Skrulls. Well, one's a Skrull, one's a Kree, that they picked up in the book before the Dan Slott run. Okay. So they've been kind of adopted as their kids, and then of course you have Valeria and the son Franklin. They're kids, and then you got the Human Torch and everything like that. So, and the great thing about this run is most of the books are one and dones.
That's so nice.
So there's not a bunch of like 4 and 6 issue arcs in this one. It's kind of like, here's the story. There's a little bit of a problem or an adventure or some sort of weird anomaly, almost like an X-Files-y thing going on. And some groups of the thing, either all of them or some of them, try to solve the problem, and it's usually done in 1 issue. Some go to 2. They had a Blood Hunt tie-in, which I think went 3 continuous issues, because there was a longer story to tell. But for the most part, this is a great book to just pick up and read and not worry. There's no like ongoing thing that, in the background or something. It's just, we're doing our family thing, and we're not necessarily, there was a reason they're not in New York City anymore, because the Baxter Building was... It's science-y and stuff. Yeah, this guy Ryan North, he must do a lot of reading of scientific journals, because he throws a lot of real science and then goes one step beyond, kind of like what the show Fringe tried to do.
Oh yeah, sure.
Yeah. Okay. So, but no, highly recommend this book. It's just a really nice book. Art's fine, and yeah, they're just like good little stories. So if you want something that's a little less, it's still superhero, but not as in your face about it. So more family oriented. So
sweet. All right. Well, last up for me is TVA #1,
and that's the last up for me too.
Yeah.
Very excited about this book.
I wasn't super excited about it when it was first announced, but after reading this, I'm like, wow, this is really cool, because this TVA is, it's in the Marvel Comics universe, and it's also in the MCU universe. So
it seems like they've basically adopted. This is the fully adopted Loki season 1, 2, all the stuff, the characters. They've adopted this as official Marvel continuity. Yeah, So if you watch Loki season 1 and 2 and you saw all that stuff, Mobius, what is
OB?
she? OB is OB, the one in the tech department, but then the head is like B19, I think is her name.
I believe so.
She probably has a real name, but B19. Yeah, all there. But now we've got real variant superheroes as part of an ongoing like strike team kind of thing. So it's a little like Exile. Did you ever read Exiles back in the day?
I didn't, no.
Okay, it's similar, because obviously they're going to different multiverses. Right?
Right,
so exactly. Different what if worlds or whatever. So who's the main character?
Spider-Gwen.
Spider-Gwen. Yeah.
And in this issue, we also see a big statue of, big statue, monument, whatever you want to call it, of Loki.
Yep.
Yeah, so I thought that was kind of a nice touch to that.
Yeah. No, I mean you can't get enough of multiverses. I'm just down for whatever.
Yeah, right. And I mean in this issue, we see Captain Britain and
Peggy Carter.
Yeah, Peggy Carter. Yeah. So she comes in and explains that everyone, like, there's these like everyone's like having these like panic attacks where they basically see their worst fears.
Right.
And so so that's kind of like what takes place like towards like the middle to the end of the issue. And then we see this universe's, is it this universe's Gambit?
No. So the only person, I guess, Spider-Gwen is technically our Spider-Gwen because she is officially now in the 616 universe, even though she's from a different one. But all the other ones, I'm pretty sure, are not, because you got the Gambit is a Gambit that Rogue died in his universe.
Yeah.
So he's like sullen Gambit. You've got a version of Wolverine who's looks like normal. I don't know what his deal is, but he's got a different last name. He's got the same last name as Guardian from Alpha Flight. So I don't know what that means. But yeah, so he's more normal. He's less angry, I guess.
And less rough looking.
Yeah, exactly. And then the only one I don't know is they called her Ingrid. That's all they said. As far as I know, she looks like Stature. She looks like Cassie Lang because she grew, right? She did. She grew. Yeah. So she looks like a version of Giant Man, I guess, or Stature. But other than that, I don't know who that is.
Yeah, same.
So just Ingrid was the only thing, and then you had the Peggy Carter, Captain America, Captain Britain thing. But
I thought it was funny when they had that scene where they were in the room with where in the Loki show where all the key lime pie.
Yes. Yeah.
It's funny because actually that Loki, those scenes in the show is what really got me to try that pie, and it's one of my favorite pies of all time now.
That's insane. Yeah. Seriously, you've never had key lime pie until you watch that show?
Nope.
Okay, that's awesome, so, and what a way to finish up. Okay, but yes, a great first issue. Again, we didn't know anything going in. If you like the Loki or you like just the multiverse concept, I think this is going to be a fun book.
Yeah, absolutely.
So give it a try. All right. Well, I think that's going to be it for today.
Yeah. Third episode done.
Okay. Well, thanks for watching. I hope this gives you some information about the books, or you just like talking about stuff. We'd appreciate your comments, and you guys have a great day. We'll see you next week. All right. Bye, James.
See ya.